And don't forget, no matter what, she did it anyway.
You did it, Mom.
Hello, my beautiful human. Welcome back to your Shake Up. I am so excited you're here. Today, we are going to talk about the fastest ways to fail in business. And girl, I'm just going to dive in because we have 10 things that I wrote down. And I promise you, these are like a fact. I have done my research. I have been guilty of falling in some of these and doing some of these while I was building my business. And let's just dive in. The first one was building your business based off of someone else's external success. I've been talking a lot about this, especially when it comes to branding and messaging. A lot of the times as a new entrepreneur, aspiring entrepreneur, you go on Google and you're just searching on what people are doing in your industry. You're doing quote unquote market research. What tends to happen is for some of us, rather than using that as inspiration or just data, we actually use that and say, oh, I'm going to build this, not find the white space of what's missing. Instead, people start building businesses that already exist because they like what that person is doing. The problem is, when you don't know how someone's business is actually functioning and you're just building your business based off of their success, you are not going to know how to overcome some of these problems that you're going to inevitably experience. You also don't know if it's a facade or not if they're successful. I've seen this happen all the time. I mean, I've also had it happen to me where someone will literally copy exactly what I'm doing. The problem is you don't know what I'm experiencing on the inside, right? Inside of my business, behind closed doors. So you're not going to know how to overcome that when it happens. So that is number one. Number two is losing your creative confidence. Again, this goes back to social media. This goes back to doing too much market research. We talk about this all the time, where the more that you fall into this comparison trap, the more that you are constantly thinking, okay, well, this person's doing this and this person's doing that. Not only are you diminishing your confidence, you're hindering your creativity and the opportunity for you to show up authentically and have different ideas. So when you do too much of the comparison trap and losing your creative confidence, right? This naiveness of being a new entrepreneur, you are no longer innovative. You're no longer thinking about, again, that white space that doesn't exist and how your messaging, your branding, your business, your services, your products are different. The third mistake is treating your business and goals as a hobby and not taking it seriously. Why should anybody take your business and your goals seriously if you're not doing that yourself? This is the fastest way that I've seen so many entrepreneurs fail or quit. It is because they're not taking it seriously. They're not calling themselves entrepreneurs. They're not allocating the time to their business, to their goals, because they're treating it as a hobby. And I love to say, we are not building hobbies here. We're building businesses. Number 4 is only focusing on the big goal and not the daily tasks, and vice versa. We find ourselves just looking at the big picture so much that we forget what we have to do day in and day out to achieve that big picture. And there's so many other times where we are focusing and inundated in our daily tasks that we forget about the big picture. And so we're actually no longer moving the needle. And so what happens is when you're no longer moving the needle in your business, inevitably you are going to fail. Number 5 is not delegating. And this one was a hard one for me. This one, I will tell you that if I didn't start delegating this year, or that towards the end of last year, I would not have been able to accomplish and be offering the services and the products that we offer now, because I just couldn't do it on my own. I couldn't do it on my own, but I had this mentality of, oh, well, nobody could do it as good as I can. Nobody understands what I want them to do. And nobody cares as much as I do. Nobody does it as fast as I do. And so I had these stories that I was telling myself And it allowed me to not delegate. But the problem is I wanted to scale, and I can't scale unless I delegate. Number 6 is spending too much money too fast. You know the story. I share it all the time. I spent $30,000 in the first 7 months of my business on a website and branding. And it was the worst decision that I had ever made for my business. And not because I think that you shouldn't have spent that much money, but one, I shouldn't have spent that much money on a website and branding so early on in my business because I was still evolving. My brand, my messaging, my logo, all of that stuff was going to evolve as my business developed, as I got more information and feedback from my clients. And so to invest that much money in something that didn't have direct ROI is not smart. And so one of the reasons why I see so many entrepreneurs and so many businesses fail so fast is because they spend too much money too fast. On another note with that, still staying on number 6, I would say when it comes to money, counting money that you don't have is the biggest mistake that you can do. And I will tell you, I have been doing this since I was young. Now, being 3.5 years in, I don't do it anymore. But even when I used to bartend back in the day, I would literally be like, oh, well, tonight I'll make $1,000. So it's okay if I spend that $1,000 because I'm going to make it. And then I would go and I would make $50 and I'm like, oh my God, I'm screwed. It's the same exact thing with business. If you don't have a paying client, if you didn't sell the product, if you didn't sell the service, you can't count that money. And so this is why when I think about forecasting, you can forecast for the future, but you can't be in debt assuming that you're going to make that money. And I see a lot of businesses fail that way because they don't have enough cash flow. Number 7 is not staying consistent with your messaging and branding. This is a big one. What you're going to end up doing inevitably is you're going to confuse your consumer. You're going to confuse the people that are reading your messaging, that are trying to resonate with your branding, with your services, with your products. And so not staying consistent with that, what happens is you're going to confuse people. They're going to forget about you. And inevitably, you're not going to be what or who they think of when they need your product or service. And when it comes to having a successful brand and business, you have to place yourself in the forefront of your consumer's mind. So when they think of, oh, I need a personal brand strategist, if they don't think of me, I'm not doing my job when it comes to marketing. Number 8 is constantly changing what you do and how you do it. Now, the caveat here is that it's not about not evolving. Your business should evolve. But when you're changing what you do and how you do it so much, you don't have that hero product, right? We talk about this hero product, what people know you for, your legacy. Every single business, whether it's a service business or a product business, needs to have a hero product. It is their bread and butter. It's like, think about when you go to a restaurant and you're like, what's the best? Why do people come to this restaurant? What is that one meal? That is their hero product. If you're constantly changing what you do and how you do it, you're going to just be so spread out that nobody's going to know you for anything. And that's going to hurt the growth of your business. 9 is building a business based off of what you think needs to be built and not the problem that exists. So let's read that again. Number 9 is building a business based off of what you think people need and not the true problem that exists. It is not about you and what you think you should create. If you like pink shirts and putting your logo on it, that doesn't mean that those pink shirts with your logo on it are going to sell. If your consumer and your ideal client doesn't want those pink shirts with your logo on it, it's not going to sell, right? The most successful brands and businesses target a problem. If you are selling a product or service and you're not solving a problem, you are not going to sell that product or service. Number 10 is the most important one. You don't believe in yourself or your big picture. We will always, 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 at the end of the day, be the reason things make or break in terms of resiliency, focus, but most importantly, our belief in ourselves and that big picture of what we want. I have seen so many talented entrepreneurs give up on their business and goals because of that self-doubt, because that big picture is just too unrealistic for them. And I don't like the word realistic, like think realistically, like let's be realistic. I hate that because reality is so different for so many different people. And I had to put this at the last one because at the end of the day, if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't believe in that big picture, you're always going to be holding yourself back when it comes to scaling, when it comes to doing the daily tasks, when it comes to speaking consistently with your messaging and your branding. If you're doubting yourself, you're not going to stay consistent. You're going to be constantly changing. You're not going to be focused on the problem. You're not going to be focused on the big picture. You're not going to be treating your business seriously. You're going to treat it as a hobby. And so that last one really sums all of these up. Take some time to really let all of these really marinate and think about it. And I would love to know, which one of these do you feel like you're really struggling with right now? Are you struggling with not delegating? Do you feel like you're spending too much money when it comes to your business, too fast? Do you feel like your messaging and your branding is all over the place? Are you in a space that you're treating your business as a hobby right now? I would love to know which one of these resonate with you the most. And I would love to support you in helping you get out of your own freaking way. I am so excited to hear from you. And as always, I appreciate the love and the support that you have given me. If you can please take some time to share this podcast, but most importantly, leave a review on the Apple Podcasts. I've been taking screenshots of all the reviews that have been written, and it just makes me want to cry just thinking about how much support and love that you're constantly giving me. So I appreciate you so much, and I cannot wait to talk to you so soon. Bye. And don't forget, no matter what, she did it anyway.
You did it, Mom.